Hello everyone. First, I'd like to personally thank you for helping me get to 1,000 subscribers. It means a lot to me. Some of you have left some really nice comments about how my videos have helped your Rust gameplay, and that means a lot to me, so thank you so much. Since I've now hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to show you something that I've been holding on to for years now. This trick I've been holding on to for years in Rust, and it has never failed me, not even once. It increases your base strength dramatically, and it's all about mind games. First, let's take a look at drop boxes. Drop boxes are good, don't get me wrong. You can put a couple of drop boxes up. They allow you to pass loot through one way, and then you can pass loot through the other way. And you can fully encase a loot room in metal or HQM or whatever you'd like. And then you get in here through a sleeping bag. You die and respawn in here, you take your items, you put them in your safe room, per se, and you can transfer items in and out. And they are really strong. I mean, take a look at this loot room here, where it's just a sheet metal door, you know, a couple of rockets, and they get all the loot in this loot room, versus the same thing here. It takes 8 rockets to get into a 1x1 loot room. So yes, drop boxes are really good, but they have a fundamental flaw, and I think a lot of players don't realize it, and it's the enemy knows where your loot is. Drop boxes are a big warning sign that says, hey raiders, all my good stuff is in this room. You can obviously use misdirection by putting fake drop boxes up, but a lot of players, they just don't do that. And sometimes, just by circumstances, you know, it gives the raider information, which is what we don't want. Well, there's a way to have the same effect without using drop boxes at all. Take a look at this little proof of concept base right here. You know, you can see the loot room. You'd have a garage door, a double door, or you know, any type of entrance you want here, and you don't have to build it just like this. I'm a huge fan of concept videos, so you know, implement this in your base however you'd like. But it's just a standard loot room. You know, there's a furnace here. We have storage. But what is this room? You know, there's no information here to give for the raider to extrapolate anything from. Obviously, you don't want this room to be... First off, spoiler alert, yes, this is a secret room with all your good stuff in it, but take a look at how it's metal and then the rest of the base is stone. You don't want that, so make sure that whenever you do tricks like this, that nothing stands out. You don't want to give the raider information, so if you're going to use this trick, make sure that the rooms surrounding this secret room here are metal. So these boxes look pretty ordinary. It looks like you know, we just kind of scrambled some barbecues and boxes together to create a half-ass loot room. But this box here is the key to everything. It's this large wooden box. If you die and spawn in the sleeping bag here, we have the same effect, but we don't have the drop box. We can use this large box as a transfer going from the outside into the inside of this secret loot room. But think about the power behind this loot room. The power is that the raider doesn't know it's a loot room. If you look at this one, the drop boxes, the raider's like, oh, juicy stuff in there. Here, there's nothing. They're not going to see this large box and think to themselves, wait a minute, this large box is off by 4 millimeters. That must be a secret. No one thinks that. They're worried about being countered. They're worried about if they're going to recoup their raid costs. They're not going to sit here and get out their tape measure and figure out whether this large box is hiding anything. So that's the real power of loot rooms, is whenever the raider doesn't even know that they're a loot room. It's really easy to build this. You used to be able to build it without a shelf, without the salvage shelf, but you can't do that anymore. They patched that finally a couple of months ago. But you can still build it with the salvage shelf, but you have to have the shelf. And I'll show you how to do it right now. So, and again, this isn't a base design, this is just a concept, but you want to lay down 2 rooms adjacent to each other with a wall. And then you need to put up the shelf. This part can be tricky because the shelves can be bastards sometimes and not let you put the walls up, so make sure that it's centered as good as you can get it. Probably not going to get it perfect here, If you crouch sometimes and turn down your sensitivity, it can help. But set up your shelf, and now you want to go to the other side and put up a roof. And thankfully, Rust still has the collapsible wall thing where if you put up a roof, it collapses the wall. And you want to come around to the side, get your large box, and put it right there. And you don't want it to stick too far in, but you also don't want it to go too far the other way, so it'll take some practice. See, this one's, it works, but it could be further this way in this room a little bit. But it'll work for demonstration purposes. But go on a build server and practice to make sure you get the layout right for it. You don't want it to go too far, else it will look suspicious. And then you'll build your real loot room here. Remember to put a sleeping bag in here so you can actually get to your your secret loot room. And there's a reason why I didn't put large boxes here. You could do that, but remember, I love mind games in Rust. It's all about the mental game. If I were a raider and I came in here into this loot room and I see 1, 2, 3, 4 large boxes, and I know that these are up against the wall, and then I see a fourth one that is, you know, indented, it's not at the same length as the others, that will set off my, that will pique my interest. You know, I've rated enough bases to where this will make me suspicious of something. So if you put the barbecues in the small boxes instead, the raiders don't have a reference point. Whenever they don't have a reference point is whenever they don't notice it. So you put these down instead, you put the small boxes on here. Doesn't have to be perfect. The more it looks like you did it in a hurry, the better. Honestly, it seems counterintuitive at first, but whenever you make your base perfect, sometimes it can actually work to the detriment. But now you can see that there's no context, there's no reference point to compare this large box with other large boxes. So whenever you walk in this room, there's nothing immediately setting off your "hey, wait a minute" alarm. And that's the true power of tricks like these, is making sure that if you build the base like as if you were going to raid it. Think about the things that would set off your alarm and make you think twice. And whenever something sticks out like that, it's going to set off an alarm. You can see this one over here. Take another look at it. It looks like a large box. You know, it's hanging over the edge here, and it's actually a little bit better than drop boxes because you could transfer a lot more items at once, which is really nice. You'd also don't have to listen to the cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching drop box noise, so that's great as well. Another thing that I'll say is be careful when designing your base with this. You don't want to design it in a way that this large box can be broken easily. If you do get raided, you know, half-ass raided, where obviously they're not going to get all of your loot because they don't even know that this is a loot room. But make sure that this box isn't in a place that's likely to take splash damage or be damaged by other things. So you wouldn't want like another door here, or you wouldn't want to give them any reason to throw grenades in here. Don't put any shotgun traps, don't put any auto turrets or anything like that, because then they're going to blow them up and blow up all your stuff. And then you're going to have to either have drop boxes already in here, you know, as a fail-safe, which I do recommend, by the way. You can also put like a tier 1 workbench in here if you get creative and craft them, but it's easier to just have a fail-safe. Have a couple of drop boxes sitting in here in case you do get raided, so that you can move your loot out. But I've been using this trick for years now in Rust, probably 3 years or so, maybe even longer, and it's never failed me. You know, living to the end of the wipe in Rust is all about misdirection, all about mind games, rather than how strong your base is and how many loot rooms you have and how many rockets it is to the core. You want to confuse raiders, and this is one thing that will do that. Now, again, like some of my other videos, you don't want to put all of your loot in here. Put 90% of it in here. Leave 10% out for the raiders. Let them have 10% of your loot. They'll take the 10% and they'll go, and that'll be the end of it. And you get to log on the next day with 90% of your loot still. So again, thanks for helping me reach 1,000 subscribers, everyone, and I hope you found this video helpful.